Well, hello everyone. This is my teaser video for the sermon this coming Sunday, July 11th. And the title of my sermon is Paranoid. And I'm not talking about the Black Sabbath song Paranoid. If you don't know who Black Sabbath is, then you probably don't want to go look up that song anyway. But paranoid. Have you ever been around someone who seems to be afraid of everything, thinks everyone's out to get them? Everything's a conspiracy. Um, it's not their fault, and they tend to blame everybody else for things that are going on or going wrong with their life. Um, and if you've been around someone who is extremely paranoid, they make life miserable for everyone around them because you really, the idea of having a reasonable conversation with someone who is, um, that worked up or that suspicious about everything. Now, I'm talking about paranoid, I'm not talking about cautious. I know most kids or youth or teens would tell their parents that they're paranoid when really all their parents are being cautious because their parents were teens at one point and they know some of the things that can happen based on those decisions. But as you think about someone who's totally paranoid, now what if that person was a king or a ruler? The passage we're going to read is from Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 to 18. Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 to 18, talking about King Herod. And you kind of see how paranoid King Herod is. This passage is the arrival of the wise men, talking about the king of the Jews who was born in Bethlehem. And then, of course, you have King Herod, who's now paranoid about a new possible king and his overreaction or jealous reaction and the orders that he puts out there to try to keep from worrying about losing his kingship. And usually, when we think about in the history and paranoia of kings in the past, honestly, I guess a lot of kings had things to be paranoid for because obviously, if you wanted to be king, the first thing you had to do is kill the previous king. So I guess there are some reasons that they're worried about someone trying to kill them because they might have got to be king by killing somebody, the previous king. So you have a little bit of that, but throughout history, kings were overthrown and stuff like that. But why was King Herod worried about losing his kingship? Well, was he worried about losing his kingship, or was he more worried about losing his power, his wealth, and everything that comes along with being the king? And when we think about this passage and we go over the details and we look over the prophecy in verse 18, it's actually a dual prophecy. If you read verse 18, what's the dual prophecy? What's the two different things it's talking about? I will share that on my message on Sunday. But when we think about the paranoid king afraid of losing everything, we can now turn that into today's world. If you're talking to people about Jesus or Christianity or faith, what are the things they're worried about losing if they choose to become a believer? Or are they thinking their friends won't like them anymore? Or are they afraid it's going to cramp their lifestyle or the changes? And really, that's what they're talking about. They're worried about losing something. So do they have the same type of paranoia that we think we see here with King Herod and his worrying and his over jealous reaction? A lot of times, people in today's world, we put our value in our job titles or our job positions or the things that we do. And then when we retire or change jobs or quit or whatever, we kind of lose a reference of who we are. We lose the reference of ourselves. And it's really a scary thing because honestly, as believers in Jesus or followers of Jesus, we need to realize that first and foremost, we are a child of God. No matter what our job title is or what positions we hold or what volunteer organizations we work at, we start out as a child of God. If you're wrapped up in being a pastor, a company president, a teacher, or whatever it is, and then you retire and you're not that position anymore, if you're totally lost in who you are, that's a scary thought because we are not the jobs we do. We are not the positions we hold. We are a child of God. So I know pastors have really struggled with the whole retirement thing because now they didn't have a congregation that depended on them, or they didn't have a group they were speaking in front of every week, and they lost their identity. I don't foresee that being a problem when I retire, but again, I try to think of myself as a child of God, and when I retire, I hope to be a child of God at the beach or a child of God on the golf course, wherever that may be, to enjoy some rest and relaxation after working. Like most of you, I've been working since a week out of high school. I even worked my senior year in high school, so I've been working nonstop since then. One job or another, sometimes multiple. So, what about that paranoia? What are keeping people from making that decision? What are they afraid of losing? We were talking about King Herod, afraid of losing his kingship because the King of the Jews is born. So, two things, as you read these verses, what is the dual prophecy in verse 18? And understanding the paranoia of King Herod, and how does that paranoia affect us as we try to share the gospel with people. So I look forward to seeing everyone July 11th. Hopefully everyone had a great July 4th holiday weekend, and look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.